Hello and welcome to Graceful Connections. I am Sophie Bidard, your host for this special event. I'm so grateful that you've chosen to join us today, bringing your unique energy that pours into our circle of connection. Your presence here honors the calling within you to discover the hidden spiritual purpose of what you long for. In other words, your cravings, which is what our guest, Christel Hughes, will be sharing with us about today. And that's going to be fascinating for sure. So let's begin. Take a moment to let go of anything that doesn't serve this present moment. With each breath, feel yourself arriving more fully here. As we set our intention, may all that flows within our sacred space, be it words, vibrations, energies, serve the highest evolution of our souls and extend outward in service to all. I invite you to open your heart and your mind to receive all the brilliance that awaits. Activating your connection to the new Earth crystalline grid and to the galactic center, the center of truth. You are perfectly held, both grounded and lifted. You are safe, you can relax, and you are ready and open to receive. Now I'm calling the orb of grace from the heart of the universe and placing the orb of grace around our gathering, each and every one of us. That we be held in this orb of grace and infused with grace all along our time together. As grace permeates our field, it harmonizes and magnifies all that seeks alignment and illuminates all that longs for expression in accordance with divine will and the order of grace. And breathe. Beautiful. Within the Orb of Grace, I'm delighted to welcome holographic hypnotherapist, multidimensional visionary, and multisensory intuitive Christel Hughes. What a blessing to have you with us today, Christel. Welcome.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, everyone. I was sharing with Sophie, just a beautiful smile came over my face. And, I just started lighting up, just knowing that I was here with my beautiful family and how sweet it is to be in this precious container. And thank you, Sophie, for having us here and consistently bringing the grace, because it is such a blessing for our community. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. And yes, we can hear and feel your smile. We can see it too. So thank you, Christel. And so everyone, Christel will share insights on cravings as cosmic clues, the hidden spiritual purpose of what you long for. And she'll also offer live intuitive readings. So to request your reading, press *2 on the phone or click raise hand on the web to come on the line with Christel, or place your request in the Q&A box on the web. And the question to ask is, what's the root cause of my craving for? And here you insert your desire, your craving. For now, let's dive into our fascinating topic. We are craving for your insightful, elevated perspectives, Christel. And yes, it's going to be elevated for sure. We'll start with discussing cravings as we commonly understand them, right, Christel? And then Christel is going to take us way higher and deeper into the soul perspective on cravings. So let's start. Let's start with those cravings that feel completely uncontrollable, like we are powerless against them, no matter how much we try to resist. Why do certain cravings seem to hijack us so effortlessly? And also addressing the hypnotherapist in you, Christel, I'd like to ask, how does the subconscious play a role in this?
And it's so true. Sometimes we feel so helpless. We feel very helpless around this. And so I'll answer as that hypnotherapist with that clinical training, as we go deeper into the helpless feelings around the cravings, that comes directly from some deeply embedded subconscious associations. Our mind is constantly tagging emotional and sensory experiences with meaning. It's taking a snapshot and it's embedding the emotionality, the vibrational frequency, and attaching it to pictures and images, even when we're not aware of it. And so over time, these associations create unconscious triggers that feel automatic and also irresistible. I want to give an example of this because it really helps us get into that understanding quickly. Now, I had a client who called me for a session. She was suddenly experiencing intense cravings, and this had just gone over a period of weeks. But strangely enough, she was putting on weight just in these couple of weeks. And the craving seemed to come out of nowhere. Once we explored that deeper history, suddenly I saw this pattern in her hologram. And around age 7, her mother had made her take piano lessons. And she was telling me that around 5 p.m., which to her body was hungry, right? Her body was growling with hunger. At that time, she felt frustrated. She was a little hangry. She was hungry and angry at the same time. She was a little resentful towards her mom because she wanted to go eat. So her body and mind formed this subconscious association. Piano practice equals hunger and irritation and restricted choice, taking away her power. Now, decades later, whenever she heard this piano music, especially the sound of her own son now practicing the piano, the same subconscious signal fired off in her brain. So her body reacted with this automatic hunger pangs, these cravings. Isn't that wild? And she felt that same mix of frustration, emotional discomfort, and almost like this double bind. She felt like she was being lured into the kitchen, opening the refrigerator, standing there, looking and looking and looking. What is she looking for? None of that's going to really satisfy her, right? She's even aware of it intellectually. What am I doing here, standing with the fridge open? But you see, it was some deep groove in her mind, in her being. And so from that hypnotherapy perspective, these cravings aren't random. They're not personal failings. They really are these echoes of emotional experiences that your subconscious is still trying to process. So the helplessness around these, when you feel hijacked, it's not weakness. It's your body-mind signaling unresolved energetic patterns. And so once we bring awareness to the origin of the craving and we undo it in the way that we know to do it, we have to work with the emotion that's locking it into place. We have to work with the energetic aspect of that and any belief that you made about yourself or any part of you that was fractured off and is taking over. So you can begin to dissolve the subconscious triggers. We can transform it into a conscious choice and a new level of awareness And most importantly, we want to have congruency in our actions. Congruency in our actions. We are these spiritual beings that sometimes feel so incongruent with the truth of who we are. And that equates to pain. Our heart gets pained by that. So really important for congruency to come in.
Yeah. And I guess when we're not congruent, it probably adds to the friction that we may have around cravings. And you just said that they are not personal failings, but in truth, many of us feel guilty or frustrating about our cravings, right? Thinking that we are weak or we are failing when we give in to them. So is there a way that we can reframe cravings so that they are no longer something to resist, something that we fight, but rather something meaningful that is part of our growth and our self-understanding?
Yeah. Cravings in themselves are neutral. And that's what's so wild, because our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference, right? And so they're signals that energy is moving through you and really pointing to some kind of unmet need, emotional trigger. Ultimately, every craving is to have us come back into unity, back into wholeness. I mentioned that we fracture off. So there's a part of us that has to deal with life situations. And from a very young age, usually, we've formed different parts of ourselves. And those parts of ourselves hold a strategy for survival, for protection, and for need to control, right? So we feel split when we're in a persona taking action, trying to have us control, or when we're out of control. That might even be a persona, the one who is in loss of control. That's not a bad thing. The lessons that your soul's navigating are really here to support you. There's no interpretation of them from our perspective as some kind of weakness or moral failure. That resistance and shame only reinforces the pattern, and it keeps it locked in the subconscious. Remember, emotion is glue, and it holds things in place. That's why we become alchemists and we transmute. We have to look at the personas that hold the cravings. Who is holding this craving? And really pay attention to that. I remember a client who struggled with sugar cravings her entire life. Now, she would unconsciously devour chocolate bars, or Oreos actually were her favorite thing. And I mean, in a single sitting, boom, down the whole bag of Oreos unconsciously. And yet she would come out of it kind of dazed and confused, like, oh my God, I did it again. What did I do? And yet she was experiencing now this inflammation, horrible digestive issues, even difficulty focusing, and some memory loss that was really scary for her. And I remember her coming in and exploring again these subconscious patterns and uncovered this tiny fragment of her psyche. And that persona we called the malnourished one. And it was a childlike persona. It was horribly thin and just the bones popping out and showing. And this persona was frozen in fear. This malnourished one, we traced it back to a moment of sexual molestation by her cousin. And in those moments when she was being, attacked in that way, that trauma, her body would literally play dead. The organs would shut down, her mind disconnected, her entire system went into freeze mode. And her cravings were deeply entangled with this trauma. And it was like tied around survival mechanism, but also the signal that her body had never fully processed the emotions correctly, those experiences properly, to dissolve that fractured part of her, that malnourished one. She never came back around to her true self, her whole self. So we had to do some timeline work with that and some hypnotherapy. But what we did is we shifted that malnourished one and finally her body relaxed. So she actually got deep into her body and was in a new relationship with her body. And I like to say, think of your body as your best friend. What are you going to feed your body? If your best friend came over, you're making the most beautiful dinner, right? Like you're going to feed them like the most beautiful, nutritious, loving, because that's an offering from your heart to them, right? And so in looking at that, coming back into wholeness of, wow, I want to treat my body. I want to treat my being with absolute love, unconditional love. But I really appreciated that those extreme cravings subsided, and she reclaimed her capacity to nourish herself, to think clearly in that moment. And obviously that helped her function fully in daily life. So again, it's just an illustration here of that power, like you said, of reframing. Cravings aren't failures, they're messages. And they can point to some unresolved ancestral imprint or some happening, some traumatic experience. Just even if it doesn't seem like it was traumatic now, it was perceived as traumatic back then. And definitely the subconscious survival patterns. So when we observe them safely, and we work with them consciously, which is what we're all about, the cravings shift from these forces of frustration into what we would think of tools of insight, right? And they guide us towards healing. They guide us towards self-understanding and the higher alignment, which ultimately brings us to wholeness, to unity.
Yeah, wow. Wow. Cravings are messages. Yes, they can be pretty cryptic messages, I think we can say the least. So we are really blessed to have you, Christel, to decode these messages and trace them and really be able to work them out. So as a clairvoyant, hypnotherapist and clairvoyant, how do you perceive cravings? How do cravings actually show up to you energetically in a client's body, in their aura, on their timeline? Can you give an example of what it looks like and how it manifests physically or emotionally?
Yes, I love that question because so many times, I'm looking in and I'm describing things, but many of you know that I work now at the seventh dimension, and we've kind of come from that fifth dimensional realm where there's no time-space reality into a higher seventh dimensional experience where I put people on this holodeck. And when they move to the holodeck, they become a hologram. And it's not just the physical body, the deepest levels that I can see, but I start to be able to look at the meridians, and I'm seeing the layers of their aura, then I'm seeing their light body, and then I'm seeing them just as a hologram, so I can see parallels, I can see ancestral lines, I can see future possibility and probability lines, and the way that a client's growing into their own enlightenment. So that's what I'm going to be doing today even, and that's when I'm looking at someone, I'm perceiving the cravings. They appear as this very distinct formations. And I'm looking at them in their holographic body, but I'm getting signals simultaneously, seeing everything at once. And so how I'm seeing them most commonly is they show up as these corkscrew-like patterns with a hook on the end. They've got these spiraling energetic cords that come off of them, and those cords are anchored into specific areas of the body. Sometimes they're deeply hidden, sometimes they're lodged in most unexpected places, but it's a pattern. It makes sense when we put these together, and the hooks can originate again from these lingering relationships that we've had, old subconscious survival patterns, and they reveal themselves in the physical sensation as well as the emotional patterns. Now, I had a male client I was working with who had a lifelong cravings for salty foods, and gosh, he would just tell me, oh my God, I binged on chips, or I grabbed pretzels, and, all these drying foods that are non-foods, right? Any salted snacks he could get his hands on. And while he was driving, he would just unconsciously devour them. And he always felt jittery. He felt anxious and really strange because the frustration would build. Now, when I scanned his hologram, I started noticing the corkscrew-shaped hook that was coiled around his jawline and the palate going in and then extending down into the solar plexus and subtle, abdominal area there. And the hook was connected to a persona that we called the controlling one. And we started to recognize that this part of him was carrying these ancestral expectations, some kind of survival patterns from his father's line. That's why we called it the controlling one, because his father, he was telling me, was very controlling. We started recognizing that the hook made sense because it was tied to the control, but also performance, right? And so he would have performance anxiety, and that's why when he was eating the salty foods, the anxiety would come back. But his father's side carried a history of this strict discipline around, resources, money, authority. So that's where we saw the food and the salt and the basic needs were linked to obedience and control. And from a child, very young age, he just adopted that lesson. And he thought that nourishment needed to be earned, and to be able to get just the basic needs, he had to be controlled in his behavior. He had to be good. And it put so much pressure on him. And so he created this feeding, if you will. The cravings for salt were literally his body's way of feeding that old control pattern and creating tension, obviously, in the nervous system, and then manifesting as this agitation and digestive issues and constant restlessness whenever he tried to resist that urge. So it was a double bind situation, damned if I do, damned if I don't. And so what we had to do is when we went in, we did some deeper hypnotherapy work. We dissolved, obviously, that corkscrew pattern. I like to work with Metatron's Cube to discreate that. And we integrated that controlling persona. And so once we took the hook out, that released the ancestral imprint. That was reconciled. And you have to understand how powerful reconciliation is in your body. When you're congruent, when you reconcile things and you buoy up, you come up out of the depth of the tension of the subconscious that's always battling you as your higher self. And so he felt like, he told me he felt more grounded. He had never really known how to be grounded, but also important with his relationships, less reactive, okay, which I'm sure his wife really appreciated, right? And then choosing how to nourish himself, that put him in control, right? And so he started recognizing that he could respond consciously rather than automatically going into the old patterns. So I'm seeing the cravings as these tangible energetic structures, and it allows one to perceive them not just as, some kind of weakness. These are living signals of the body, mind, soul system. And each craving carries a story. Some lined with the ancestral lineage, unresolved emotions, early life programming. But when we place our conscious awareness and attention, and when we do the energy work, we just transform them into pathways for conscious choice. Truly, that's what we mean when we're talking about self-trust leads to self-love. We can trust ourselves. When we're in the unconscious state, can we trust ourselves? No. I'm going to sit here and eat a whole bag of chips or a candy bar, or I'm going to scroll for an hour and lose time. That's not self-mastery. That's not trusting. We can't trust ourselves to hold awareness, which is the shadow masculine. And so we have to now come to the light. Bring everything to the light. all of these little hidden things that we do, habits, not just cravings, but we have lots of habits, don't we, that we do. What's behind that? Let's take a look. Let's explore. And then we can go to this higher soul perspective, right? And we can really move our attention up, if you will, to the higher dimensional metaposition.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Let's get to the soul perspective, because you mentioned wrapping it up as cravings as signals of the body, mind, soul system, and you've talked about the body and the mind. Let's get into the soul perspective. So could you describe cravings from a soul perspective? Many of us view cravings really mostly as physical desires, but how do you see them as more than that, and especially when it comes to soul evolution?
This is the beauty of what we're doing here as a collective community, right? As this beautiful, brilliant collective mind. It brings these things through as downloads, and we get to share them. So again, cravings from that soul's perspective, they're so much more than some kind of physical impulse. They're divine nudges. They're little mini soul activations that carry us through those necessary stages of spiritual evolution. I love it because we know at the root, cravings are a language. They're a language. Our body's speaking to us. Our soul is talking to us. It communicates its deepest yearnings for transformation, not yearnings for food or yearnings for attention or yearnings to be seen or whatever, success, whatever it might be. And so often, yes, of course, they manifest as physical desires, hunger, thirst, longing for connection, but they really serve us as portals through which, our soul learns to integrate physical experiences with its higher purpose. So they're not random. They're very precise energetic signals. And they're designed to guide our soul's evolutionary trajectory. We're spiraling up, if you will. Each craving is a conscious experiment in the material world. and then when we look at it as it's an experiment of our soul, allowing our soul to expand its awareness by experiencing different states of being. So we can look at these states of being, satisfaction, pleasure, sometimes even discomfort or lack. The soul craves these experiences because they expand its capacity for being. They're creating the contrast necessary for growth. And so the deep primal cravings are like practical lessons. They serve as the soul's way of aligning the body with the higher mind, and then the essence, the eternal spirit. So the more aware we become of the higher multidimensional layers beneath the cravings, the more we can transcend them. It's a learning algorithm, and we're allowing our souls to evolve beyond the simple need for physical gratification.
It's a learning algorithm. Okay, that's very intriguing. Can you explain how you see this, how you see cravings as the soul's learning algorithm? Does it mean they help to reprogram the soul through desire, satisfaction, and what? Share about this, please.
Right.
That's very intriguing.
Yeah. So again, it might be that our lower mind goes, what are you talking about? Like, why would my soul put me in a situation where I have cravings? But when you get a sense that cravings function as these cosmic algorithms, it's a programming tool. It facilitates the soul's growth. I mean, our mind, our emotional body wasn't created improperly, right? Like the divine created our mind this way. The divine created our body this way and our emotionality this way. So when you think about just like a computer continually updates its software, the soul uses cravings as a feedback loop, a way to fine-tune its own energetic frequency in response to the experiences that it has. So when the soul experiences a craving, it's essentially sending out a request for a particular experience. And through the cycles of desire and satisfaction and release, the soul reprograms itself with new insights and new capabilities. So here's the beauty of the process, right? Desire sparks action. Emotionality sparks action. Behind every desire is some kind of emotional motivation. And when desire sparks action, it leads to the experience of satisfaction, or sometimes, right, the discomfort, some kind of unfulfilled desire. But again, it's a prompting. So both outcomes are actually valuable data points, if you will, in our soul's evolutionary journey. We can track it. And the satisfaction achieved through a craving isn't the end goal, obviously. It's the learning that occurs within the cycle. So through the satisfaction, through the soul discovering what it's capable of manifesting in the physical world, and also through the unmet cravings, it learns patience, it learns detachment, and it learns wisdom. And so the release of a craving is just as essential because it actually signals a moment of completion of a cycle. We're all in this beautiful cycle. We're in the dormancy, we're in the growth, we're in the expansion. These are different phases of a cycle. We are in the cycle and we recognize that cycle as the rhythm of the earth, circadian rhythms. The earth itself, she's in a cycle of evolution. Are we aligned with that cycle? The planets help support the cycles individually in our Vedic astrology chart that we're going through. I want to make one little side note here because I know this is kind of like, what is she saying? When we come into the experience of craving, we also are in a very interesting experience of time pressure. And it ties in cravings being connected to time pressure to get into the harmony of your personal cycle. That resistance triggers the vasanas, it triggers the personas, it triggers the defiance within us. Again, if we look at the cycles and we look at the tree, often I use this example, the tree has to let the leaves fall off. The tree experiences something in the letting go of the leaves rather than holding on to it. And there's a completion of that mini cycle of letting go of the leaves, isn't there? And then it moves on to what? It goes to the dormancy of the winter stages, and then it comes into the growth. And everything that it let go of, didn't it help support the nutrients coming back into the roots of the tree and the roots drawing the nutrients from the leaves that disintegrated, became mush? And so therefore, there's a beautiful, complete expansion. And the tree grows and it creates new leaves. We're in that same experience. But one of the pieces that most people forget about is the pressure of time to get into the harmony of our own personal cycle. What I find is when it's a time of initiation, moving into the next phase of the cycle, the cravings arise. And so the craving, when we complete on it, no longer has a hold on us. We've moved through it. We have to integrate the lesson. And the integration, the aha of that lesson that we learned from the craving is fuel. Fuel for us to not only get into rhythm, harmony, unity. We feel that we have the power, the self-trust, the love, the light of the wisdom that we took from that, the blessing, the lesson, and we spiral up, now free to evolve further. The soul grows through each cycle of craving, satisfaction, and release. Each round, reprogramming the hologram, the energetic field, expanding its capacity for higher consciousness and inner freedom. Freedom to love in the alignment of higher self and our glorious eternal nature.
Yeah. Wow. Now we're talking. Now we're talking something different already. So, yeah, yeah. You've made it clear how through the cycles of desire, satisfaction, release. Yes, the soul grows, the soul matures, right? And it seems that our cravings also seem to evolve in the nature of them, right? From basic needs to something else. They start to take on deeper forms, right? So you've described cravings as self-awareness experiments. Can you please explain what you mean by that and how these desires help our soul explore its infinite potential?
That's right. And you just, the infinite potential. We get so wrapped up, right? And we need to start observing ourselves and everything that's occurring in such a different way. But as the soul matures in utilizing craving to evolve, right, from being purely physical or survival based, they go into these self-awareness experiments, which is so fun. You guys, think about this, right? Like, be curious about it. Turn the pain into this exploration adventure. This means that cravings aren't any longer simply just responses to external stimuli, right, at a basic level. We start to see their conscious explorations initiated by the soul itself to deepen its understanding of who it is, what it desires, what it's capable of. Again, the soul deepens its understanding of who it is, what it desires, and what it's capable of. The soul the soul experiments, let me get this right, with different desires to expand its sense of self, to discover its infinite potential. It experiments each craving, whether it's for some kind of achievement, some kind of recognition and validation, a form of different kinds of love. It's an invitation to explore the different facets of the self. And so we start to see that these cravings are mirrors, but the desires are orchestrated, not for immediate satisfaction, which we would, as a lower self, sense that they are for immediate satisfaction, but actually to reveal the hidden dimensions of our soul's own beingness. So the cravings act as mirrors. They're really reflecting back to the soul the parts of itself that have yet to fully integrate. In other words, we can use this to find personas. We can use this to find the parts of ourselves that have fractured off. So the craving for love might surface a need for self-love. The craving for success might reveal hidden aspects of self-worth. These are the obvious things. But if the soul has yet to fulfill that and acknowledge and to live it out, then they just continue. But through these cravings, the soul experiments with identity. It asks, who am I in this experience? What do I learn about myself as I explore this desire? The soul's not about fulfilling needs. It's constantly evolving. It's testing different expressions of itself in order to understand kind of this breadth and depth of its infinite nature. And so we start to see that each craving leads the soul into deeper realms of self-realization. And through that process of fulfillment or non-fulfillment, the soul experiences growth and greater clarity about its divine essence.
Wow. How to not fall in love with our cravings with that, all that you are sharing, Christel. We're going to be passionate about them. Yeah, and embrace them and play with them, follow their guidance, their lead. So it seems that these cravings may be orchestrated by our soul for growth and understanding rather than the mere fulfillment, right? So what's going on there when we have these higher cravings and desires like love, success, validation? What's really happening on the deeper multidimensional level?
Yeah, I kind of just touched on it a little bit, but when the soul decides love, for instance, it's not simply seeking affection or companionship. It's seeking unity, right? And so the soul recognizes it's inherently whole, but in the material world, it experiences this illusionary separation from its true essence. So the desire for love is a call to remember its inherent unity, to experience that connection. And through that, to come to a deeper realization of its own divine completeness. One time a master said, yes, I'll give you everything that you desire, but then I'm also going to give you the recognition of why that desire is not going to fulfill you. So if the love is fulfilled, it's an opportunity to expand that connection to a greater universal love, right? Rather than a limited attachment to an individual. Attachment and any attachments that we have are tethering us. And even an aversion to something, an aversion to a person is some form of attachment. And we can see, okay, what's the level of intensity of that attachment? But what if we use that? What if we use that initial craving to find love on the human level, and then we step it up? We discover the parts of us that are not in that unifying love, wholly present. Oh man, I checked out. I didn't listen to him. Who is that didn't listen to him? Wow, what if I bring that one into wholeness, in within myself, and then I'm really present in the listening? Does that connect us closer to universal love and wholeness? Yes. It's like, okay, when the soul desires success, it's not simply a craving for some kind of accolades or an award or material rewards, right? It's an exploration of its creative potential. The soul desires to see itself as powerful, to witness its own capacity to create and manifest in the physical world. So the craving, in essence, really is the soul's desire to recognize its divinity through the physical expression of success, to realize that its inherent nature is one of limitless possibility. Start to see that craving for validation. It seems to be egoic, some kind of egoic need for external approval, but it's actually the soul's desire for this deeper search of recognition of its worth in a universe that may feel fragmented or disconnected. So it's like this call to remembrance. Call to remember that the soul's worth is inherent and infinite, simply learning how to express and experience that worth in this world, in this dimension. So when we start to really come around, the cravings are, again, deeply orchestrated by the soul, not as a mechanism, if you will, for this kind of immediate fulfillment, but like a gateway, right? This gateway to greater understanding and self-expansion. Each desire serves as an opportunity to transcend the illusion of separation, to step into a higher frequency of awareness, right? Again, this meta position, this higher position we have to take The soul uses cravings to push its limits, not in some linear pursuit of gratification, but in a spiraling journey. And it just spirals up, this journey of self-exploration and awakening. It's really beautiful. We can use them. Surface level desires, we use them to discover, to realize our infinite divine nature, our creative magnificence, our absolute manifesting potential.
That's genius. That's a genius mechanism. Whoever divinely designed this, it is very, it's like, in a way, it's like we are being tricked into evolution, right? So that's really fascinating. So it seems that as someone's spiritual awareness deepens, their cravings evolve, right? Can you speak to that?
Yeah. And I know we want to do some questions too, so, I'll try to keep this short. We can come back to it, but, thinking about just a craving for the infinite experience of being. This is like our transcendent becoming. Ooh, I got chills. I just got chills. Because as spiritual awareness awakens within us, there's a natural shift from craving things in the outer world to craving deeper experiences of consciousness. And that can be painful for us, truthfully, because we can feel the grip of these physical cravings that seem to take us out, right? And all we want to do is live our purpose. All we want to do is become one with the divine. We want to feel the expansiveness. We want to float in that tranquility and peacefulness of the cosmos and Divine Mother's womb. We want to be in bliss. We want to know ourselves. So the soul begins to crave experiences of unity, oneness, transcendence, and again, instead of seeking fulfillment in material possessions as achievements, the soul starts to crave spiritual awakening, self-realization. That's where a lot of us are. And that craving's not for a particular outcome, which is elusive. And we're not used to that because when we grew up, this is success. This is what it looks like. This is what you need to do. And it didn't matter if you were going to college for a degree or if you were becoming the greatest mother on the planet. This is what it looks like, people. So do this, right? So, stuck in a box. And that's painful for our soul. So, again, the craving in this level isn't for a particular outcome, but for the experience of transformation itself, the continuous becoming of higher versions of the self aligned with universal truth and love. Truth as light. Universal truth and love. We have to be in the alignment. Remember, I said we have to be congruent. So the craving for peace, for stillness, for presence begins to replace the desires for external validation or even possessions, right? But we start to crave things like, I want to arrive. When I arrive as my higher self, when I arrive in my soul's purpose. We have to watch out for that. But the soul's desires are now more about experiencing oneness with the divine, expanding consciousness, breaking free from illusions of separation. And it really seeks out this infinite experience of being, not as a fixed state, again, but as a dynamic, eternal unfolding into the highest, most expansive expression of the self. So, again, it's an internal evolution. The cravings themselves become the fuel for continuous spiritual ascent to elevate.
Right. There's something, though, Christel, that in this continual and infinite evolution, um, it can be scary. Actually, when you mentioned that, I heard it's scary. So maybe it's someone of the audience
Wow.
who
Yeah.
thought that, right? Who
Okay.
it
Yeah.
came like boom
Right.
right away, like, oh, that's scary. And I don't feel that it was my thought. So it's probably something I heard. So what would you say to someone who is struggling with this idea of endless transformation, endless evolution?
Yeah. And it's this dichotomy, right? It's like, wow. To crave the process of becoming means that the soul recognizes its infinite potential and desires to continually expand into that potential. It takes us out of specific experiences into experiences of transformation that doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Again, related to time. We, as humans, are under a time crunch. We only have so many years to live. We've got to become our higher self before we die. We need to get on our spiritual purpose. Who's holding us back? We're frustrated. We're angry. We don't know where we are, because it's a continuum, right? But we do have these little markers. Our cravings. Cravings are going to shift. The cravings are going to adjust. The craving for becoming signifies a profound shift in the soul's perception of reality. Okay? And so existence, we perceive it as like this flowing river of transformation. Each moment offering new opportunities to become more aligned with the truth of our divine self. Yay! So the soul craves the experience of self-discovery. This is why I keep saying never stop, never stop, never stop. Keep going. And it's a keep up. We have in our spiritual world, it's a keep up. And that's our new time crunch, right? The soul craves the experiences of self-discovery, the exploration of new dimensions of being, the integration of higher wisdom, and we're doing it. We're doing it. This program that we're doing on Cravings, what do you think that is? It's not just on Cravings, is it? Because everything that we create as a program to do takes us from the physical base level, primal urge. Doesn't matter if it's a program on hooks or a program on cords or a program on implants. We observe what's happening at the physical base level, and then what do? We go to the emotional level, and then what do? We go to the spiritual, emotional, mental, and then the spiritual. Everything I create has those levels. It's not just spiritual. And this is beautiful because it's the full spectrum, you see? Everything that we're now looking at this evolved place, right, the meta position, the process of becoming is a continuous awakening, and the soul sheds layers of limitation, expands into higher states of awareness and consciousness and divinity. So each craving, each desire for transformation becomes now a call to align more deeply with the universal mind, to step more fully into the infinite flow of creative possibility that the soul is capable of embodying. And the key word there is the soul is capable of embodying that. As the soul desires to transcend the illusion of separation in the becoming and aligning with the higher planes of consciousness, it moves away from the limited physical self. It doesn't mean that those two can't coexist, because they do, but it's like a healer or a therapist who hasn't fully healed themselves. They can still help everybody, but they have to continue to work on themselves as well. Same with us, same with our cravings. A new craving could pop up. Why? Because it's part of something that has to arise to the surface at this level of our spiraling up. So if we utilize that craving, then it takes us towards the realization that we're one with everything. The craving for becoming becomes the gateway to deeper alignment and with the divine. allowing the soul to move through this continuous cycle of growth and evolution and expansion into the higher dimensions of being. It's brilliant. It's a cosmic dance. It's an eternal journey. And we're dancing it. We're loving it. We're moving towards wholeness and unity and enlightenment ultimately. We're constantly expanding into that infinite potential. We can't help but do that. Will it take us longer if we allow the craving to hook us and hold us and leave that hook, that corkscrew hook inside of our mouth or inside of our gut? Or yes, yes. So wake up and pay attention to what's being offered now. What's being offered in this moment to your soul and to your human self. Are you going to do it or are you not? That's your choice. There's no reprimand. There's only delaying the dormancy cycle, if you will, in that particular area. So endless, it's a paradox, right? We call it the paradoxical infinity. So cravings at the deepest level, not about satisfaction. The illusion of fulfillment comes from the desire to find an endpoint, which we're never going to find, to say I've arrived. But the reality is that the soul's nature is infinite. So the cravings generate within us. They're generated within us, right? They're generated within us as a means to propel us further into the expanding self-awareness. So we don't embrace the idea that cravings are low level, if you will, right? We start to really say, okay, we're going to shift from seeing cravings as obstacles to peace to actually understanding them as tools for continual evolution. And that's, again, a gateway to deeper levels of consciousness. Waves of the ocean never stop. Same with us. The soul's hunger for growth is endless. It's inherently infinite. It's a circular loop, but spiraling ascent. And that's, I'm just teary-eyed right now because it's just so brilliant. When you really get it, it's just so brilliant, taking us closer to the divine awareness of our own boundless nature. And so, again, releasing attachment to the idea of fulfillment and instead seeing cravings just as these catalysts for deeper self-realization. We're always becoming, and that's a beautiful process. It's not a burden. It's sacred. Sweet and sacred. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's it's a good time to get personal with the intuitive readings, if you agree, Christel. And
Yes.
we all want to know the truth about our cravings. And for everyone, if your mind hasn't been blown already, I'm sure it's going to be with the reading. So let's get started with this. So to request your reading, press *2 on the phone or click raise hand on the web to come on the line with Christel, or place your request in the Q&A box on the web and ask, what's the root cause of my craving for? And there you insert your desire. So we're going to start with live callers. We're going to let's go to St. Cloud, Minnesota. Annette. Hello, Annette.
Hey, Sophie. Hi, Christel.
Hi, Annette. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Oh, wow, this has been amazing so far. Wow. Glad I already signed up for this. But yeah, so what is the root cause of my craving for? I keep hearing love. It's like my relationship, my true relationship.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm seeing, and just putting you on the holodeck, what I'm seeing is a reaching outside of yourself. It's almost like a feeling that I can't do it on my own, that I would be enriched by having an experience with someone else. But the wild thing about that is in your gut, that's where I'm seeing that craving. It's in the power center. it's like you're craving someone to complete your power center power, right? And that's the third chakra, right? If someone's here with me, I will have more power to pour into my purpose. It's going to give me that extra bit of energy, the reason why, okay? Your partner in this lifetime is your own soul. That's who your partner is. And even though you can't see and feel and touch that, that's going to actually bring you that feeling of completeness, okay? So again, just to be really clear, what I'm seeing is reaching out for somebody. It's not for love. It's actually a desire for you to have a mate to help you get on purpose and to have all the energy and the power, the will, and everything you need to be successful in your life purpose. Okay? So, I like that twist on that. It's showing us the truth of it, you know? And I want to say this because it reminds me of when I first started going into business. I thought, oh, if I just had a business partner, I could do it. Well, why can't I do it with my business partner as my soul? Why couldn't I? Why did I think I had to have a business partner to do it, right? Because there's a fear, okay? So when we look into this, we're starting to see a fear element. Now, I actually do see 3 different hooks in the power centers, craving hooks. And I see them, obviously, one is tied to the power center, but one's tied to the root chakra as well. And so there's some kind of fundamental thing where you've had to prove yourself in business or in whatever your field is, right? And you've done a great job of that. But now it's really about stepping in to something that's unknown. There's a new level of your greater purpose that's unknown to you. You don't know how it would look to be successful in that greater purpose. And so that's really scary. So there's fear there. When I track it, it's a genealogical thing. You know, what are you, an idiot? What are you going to give up your current job and your position and your security and blah, 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 blah. And when we go back, let me see if it's on mother's or father's side. Actually, it's on both, but it's on mother's side quite a bit. And so, again, we're talking about provision. Did we have enough? Did we not have enough? And we're going 8 generations on mother's line, okay? 8 generations on mother's line is a big, heated experience, right? A happening in that timeline, okay? But it's on your father's too. So I like this. We're exposing that it's actually a greater need for, you know, merging with soul, but also accomplishing soul purpose in this lifetime, okay?
Pretty cool. And it was pretty big, but that's awesome.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Annette.
Awesome.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Wow, I love it. So before we take the next one, I just want to comment how it's interesting that obviously the readings are very personal, and this was very personal to Annette, but I find it fascinating how it allows us to understand the mechanism of cravings, right? It's like a case study. So each reading is going to be a case study for us to understand what's going on. And there may be something that resonates also. So we're all going to get served with the readings. With that, let's go to Hawaii with Lori. I'm unmuting you, Lori. Hello. Hi, Lori. Okay, we cannot hear you. Let me try again here. Okay, let's see. Lori has in the Q&A, so because I can't have her on the line apparently. A craving for sweets, especially chocolate, but junk food in general.
Okay, let's go into that. Let's start to see. So I'm going to tune in, Lori, putting you on the holodeck, and your higher self immediately takes me to the back, takes me to your spine. Something's going on where this craving hook is in your spine, okay? And it feels like inflammation. It feels almost like a disintegration. And so we have to look at that. Now, one of the things I'm seeing is a past life dynamic for you of yearning, of tenderness, and of comfort. And I see a child, an orphan child, but it feels like it's during a famine, and this finding survival through some kind of candied fruit. It feels like maybe a priest or someone gave you this candied fruit. I'm also seeing honey, like being able to find honey. But that sugar encoded the fleeting sweetness of being seen or cherished by this offering of the gift of the candy. And that equated to this yearning and this desire for comfort and tenderness. Not to mention in that past life, I mean, obviously, that's so rare if it's during a famine that you're going to have that kind of offering, right? But I'm seeing reassurance for this need. Your soul is longing for unconditional love and the reassurance that isn't forgotten. When you're in the cravings, you're forgetting yourself, capital S, self. Okay? And so that corkscrew hook I'm seeing also anchoring in the spine, the heart, and also beneath the tongue and the mouth in the vestibule. And it's twisting desire into longing. And it tethers the sweetness to the ache of not being loved enough, not having enough, and pulling both the heart and the throat into distortion. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Lori. Blessings. Oh yeah, when you're in the craving, you're forgetting yourself. That's wisdom there for all of us to keep. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, let's go to Los Angeles with Kathy. Unmuting you, Kathy. Hello.
Hi, good
Hi.
morning. Hi,
Morning,
so
Kathy.
happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So, hi, Christel.
Hi.
So I was contemplating, what my cravings are, and all my life it was comfort foods, especially donuts and chocolate when things were highly emotional. I have made a lot of progress with that, and it's really manageable. So I'm like, oh, do I say that? But something was telling me no, and I realized, and what you said earlier was so true, because what I got was I have a deep craving to quiet my highly overactive mind so I can attain embodiment of my soul essence. It is such a problem right now, and it's truly become a craving. It's a block, but it's a craving that and a deep want and need for that embodiment of soul wisdom and essence and the light and the love that I know I am. And so is the donut and the chocolate and comfort foods connected to the overactive mind? Maybe. But anyway, that's kind of where
Yeah. I'm getting, when I put you on the holodeck there and I tune in, what I'm starting to see is this bigger puffed up part of you. Like you've actually given more energy to your mind as a hindrance and as something to come into battle with. It's triggering your warrior. It's triggering a warrior that's infatuated with beating it at its own game, right? Your mind is meant to be mental.
Right.
It's meant to be mental. And so what are you, as the director of your mind, what are you directing it to focus on? Because, again, it's like if you think of the mind as like a TV control, right? And ultimately the goal is that we can control our mind, just like we can control turning on the TV, turning it off, putting the volume up, putting the volume down. That's what we learn to do. And when we leverage hypnotherapy, that's what we're doing. We're literally taking charge of our own mind. But what's happened is you've become a warrior. You've turned yourself into this persona warrior and somehow given validation to the warrior part of you to battle and to tame the mind. And so now you're infatuated with that scenario rather than coming into the, okay, exactly how do I actually become the master of the mind and start to leverage my mind in the way that it's meant to be used. So when I see this big puffed up warrior and I see the praise that the warrior is getting, like there's a part of you that praises the warrior. So you've got two aspects. I want you to write this down, Kathy, because it's tricky. One aspect of you praises the warrior that could kill the mind and tame the mind. And that one looks at the warrior as the savior and the rescuer. And that one is a small type of persona that needs to be rescued. And that's from a past life, 74 past lives ago. The other persona is the warrior, the one that has been assigned by the little, one that needs to be rescued, to actually battle the mind. Both of these are splitting you. They're not allowing you to be whole, are they? Mm. And so if you keep with this battle against the mind, and then the one who praises the warrior, you can do it, you can battle, you can get it, you can slay the mind. Well, that keeps you from what? Keeps you from wholeness, obviously, but it keeps you from what? Your purpose.
Yeah, it keeps me from being able to meditate. It keeps me from being able
That's
to
right.
It is so insane, and it rises to the surface more when I try to meditate, listen to hypnotherapy. It's just like, bam, no, you're not doing it. Blah, 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 blah. And that's like,
you're right, yeah. In that moment, that's when you say, okay, who's the voice? Who's the voice that's saying I'm not doing it? You have to start to work on these personas. You've got to pull them out. You've got to do the clearing work on them. Because if you don't, they're just wreaking havoc. It's like, again, being in a, babysitting 12 2-year-olds at one time, right? Yeah. That's what's happening in your own mind. So you're the babysitter. You have to take each one. You have to look at each one. You have to really find out how to shift that. That's what we do. We're transmuting and shifting the energy that created that persona in the first place, that caused it to fracture off, to have the belief. But it's all, again, because you don't want to do your purpose, your greater purpose. Because of what? Why? Why would you not want to do your purpose? Okay? So that's the deeper feeling of not good enough to do the greater purpose. Okay? Not good enough to do your greater purpose. That's the thing that you're really working on. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Blessings. Thank you, Christel. Okay, we'll come back to have you do more readings, Christel, but I feel that this is so intricate, and you make it accessible to us to understand, Christel, but it is quite complex configurations within us, so we certainly need help with dismantling all of these systems. So you've created a wonderful offering, Clean Up Your Cravings, and we'd love to hear all about it. So for everyone to follow, you can go to gracefulconnections.com/cravings. That's graceful with 2 L's, as in full of grace, gracefulconnections.com/cravings. If you're on the web, you have the button and the link. You can click there. If you're on the replay, just scroll down the page and discover Christel's special offer. Christel, please reveal what you've created for our audience, our craving audience.
Ooh, the big reveal.
The big reveal. That's right.
One of the important things here is how you're going to be held throughout this time of cleaning up your cravings. I think that's more important than, obviously what we're going to do is very important in the way that we're going to do it. I think, having a certain unique perspective in the way that we work on the holodeck and the way we're able to actually do the deeper hypnotherapy, we have to have the hypnotherapy piece of this, okay? And this is one of the important things, is being consistent. And so the container that we have is multi-layered. One of the things that we're going to have is the distant healing, where I'm putting you on the holodeck for 6 days in a row. We're going to be doing specific activations each day that are remote healing and working with Metatron's Cube. Metatron's Cube is fast, it's precise, it goes in. When I'm observing you and your higher self is showing me, what happens is your personas pop up. And what do I do in the moment? I work with you and the personas and really start to support you coming into alignment with that day's activation. I'm a mediator in that moment. And that is an advocate for you. Because just as we were working with Kathy, you know, these personas are coming up trying to take you out. If I can support observing those behaviors in that moment when we're doing the activations on the holodeck, you're that hologram, then we can encourage your mind, your emotional body to align with the disillusion of the hook, that corkscrew hook and the tethering of the cords that are there. Right? And so that's a level of being held. It's a level of being supported and really loved up. Even just being observed when I observe you on the holodeck, that's a healing in itself because the light of truth is coming in. Right? And so we do that remotely, but then also you're going to have the day's activation as the hypnotherapy guided journey. Okay? And that's so important because as we spoke about early on, Sophie, when we talked about the subconscious knowns, these are deep grooves in your brain, if you will. These are like pathways that have been walked for lifetimes, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have to rewire it, but also we have to create a new pathway for you in your mind. In other words, when you look at sugar or look at something, or like we said with the client that had the Oreo craving, she can now look at a bag of Oreos and not open it. Wait, I could take that Oreo out and put it under her nose for her to smell that, and she would not eat it. There's a way that we can really start to support you in the sense that the physical dynamics are not being triggered because we are focusing on the origin point in your timeline, right? So it requires both, and that's why I brought my hypnotherapy back in because I realized, oh my goodness, how important this is and everything that we're doing now. So I want you to know you're going to literally be supported in such a loving way. And it's fascinating what came through that we need to work on. And you can look at it there. I mean, we're literally going into the algorithms. We're getting you back on track. We're addressing the primal foundation of the cravings, but now we're starting to adjust yourself and reprogram the physical cravings and looking them as tools, right? We have to dissolve the root causes of the urges, that initial urge that need to control, the lack consciousness that you might have, and the emotionality of that. Then in day 2, we start to look at cravings as the soul's self-awareness, as the experiments. Remember we talked about that? How cool is that discovery? Wow, I'm a witness observer. What am I going through this for? What's happening here? We start to open that multidimensional portal. We recognize that we're exploring the deeper desires for self-love and validation and recognition, or that desire to be successful. We're uncovering and releasing the limiting self-concepts that hold you back. We're starting to clear the self-worth imprints that are not allowing you to feel that you are worthy, okay? And to integrate the fragments of the aspects of yourself. Day 3, we're going into the experience of being, the transcendent becoming, and starting to allow for the linear cravings to be transcended. We're starting to go into cycles, the ever-evolving nature of being, right? Starting to move. The cravings become dynamic states of being. And then we go into that paradoxical infinity, cravings as the soul's desire to experience its own infinite potential. How sweet is this? Again, I want you to feel the balance of this, that we downloaded this program, right? But feel the balance of the masculine need to go deep into the subconscious, to heal it there, and then the feminine perspective, to get up to the higher realms and look down at ourselves and really start to see, wow, I'm dissolving boundaries around limitation, around linear desires. I'm going into the accessing of the infinite soul codes and the boundless potential. Who are you? Because also what I'm going to work on are the accelerators for exploration. I want to open your multisensory perception. I want you to start being able to access the higher galactic origins of your true self and experience the elevated perception. What does that give you? A new sense of freedom, a new sense of empowerment. It's embodied mastery over your desires and really getting the sense that they're a catalyst for that eternal evolution. And then activating the galactic soul blueprint. We're going to start to align your cravings with your cosmic destiny. And I know this is wild. Like, you know, it's such a unique way of looking at it, right? But we're starting to really see that if we want to have our galactic soul blueprint, the template of our multidimensional being self, descend to support us in the transcendence, that we really have to unlock within ourselves the way that we use our channels of wisdom. We want to start to bring in the fuel for our cosmic mission. This is really about allowing us to understand and attune to the galactic origins and our destiny. We have to look at cravings as sacred signals. And that opens up your own contribution to your greater purpose and the universal purpose, okay? And then day 6, we have to integrate for the ascension. And with this, I love it because we're really starting to work with our higher Wise One team. And we start to integrate, like we were talking about, these parts of our personality and our personality traits. So we then unify all dimensions of your cravings. How cool is that? So we're starting to transcend duality between the material and the spiritual desires. But most importantly, we're shifting into the enhancing of the multisensory abilities, utilizing your Wise One team. The Wise One team are really the beings that have been assigned to you, okay, in this lifetime. Now, these can be, you know, beings that are in our star systems, the star councils, right? These can be even our future selves, definitely our higher self. There are archangels and our angels. There's these beautiful dimensional elementals that we can tap into. So our Wise One team then starts to come in to help decode the cravings and to interpret for us and to download messages. This is where you're going to start to activate the perception ability. And I really want to teach you about activating the ability to perceive the depth of some kind of energetic signature that's behind the craving, okay? So this is what we're doing, 6 days. And we're going to be engaging on the holodeck. We're also going to be leveraging everybody else who joins, right? We have a really good group of people that are going to be in here in the sacred space, and we can support one another because as one shifts, again, everything shifts and everybody shifts. So I want you to think about high-level beings coming in. We're humans, but if you're really understanding the perspective of what's being offered here from the divine, if you're really getting this, what I'm saying, then I would say join, because it's very rare that we come around to an offering that spans this degree of the spectrum, from the depths of a physical craving all the way up to the craving of becoming and accepting that we are in an eternal craving of becoming. It's never going to end. Can we align with that? Can we align with that? Can we leverage that at every turn of our spiral? Can we have the endless support? Yes. Can we become the soul? Yes. And with that, we get our soul powers, the multidimensional intuitive powers and abilities. And so we're not victim anymore to that. But it requires that commitment. And we also support one another in our private group that we have online. And you'll be a part of that. So you'll have access to me. You can ask me questions. You can talk about the craving. You can talk about the place where you got stuck. You know, it's sticky here, right? Like I had 5, but I didn't eat 10. Okay? That's good. Any progress, we're there to support you, to love you up, to nurture you, to heal you. You're not going to be shamed. You're not going to be laughed at. You're going to be included in this experiment, right? Experience. The experiment experience. Okay? And so that's how we're delivering that. But, with that, these holographic hypnotherapy guided journeys, you'll have every single day you're going to listen to them. And you can listen to them more if you want. I'm also adding a bonus. I don't even know if Sophie knows about the bonus because I snuck it in. The bonus is the Cravings timeline shift. So again, last night, it literally came to me, oh my God, we have to work on the timelines. Everything was leading back to the timelines, ancestral timelines, parallel timelines, future timelines, and past life timelines. So I want to get you out of the old loops, and we're going to rewrite your craving trajectory. We're really starting to activate that multidimensional perception as well as your higher sensory awareness, okay? So that's going to be an audio that you can listen to and download. And I want you to make sure it's going to be quite short so you can listen to it over and over. But again, it's going to reinforce the multisensory perception to open to your dimensionality, okay? And then I have something else that I want to say. And I want everyone to be prepared because this is something that I think is going to be really supportive, and it's going to be a surprise for Sophie and everyone. But I just felt an overwhelming sense of offering this, which I never do. The first 5 people that sign up from this call are going to get an individual private intuitive reading session with me, 15 minutes private intuitive reading session with me on the phone. And I'm going to tune in. I'm going to look very deep. And also, when you are present with me, that's when I'm going to give you a download of what's really going on. And during that time where you're going to be able to talk with me and share with me, the intimate things of cravings and what you have, that's going to be set up where I'm going to already have the grid in place. So that's going to be like a healing as well as you being able to get a lot of clarity on what's going on with your human self evolving into your soul self, okay? So the human self evolving into the soul self. We're talking about opening the multisensory higher consciousness currents because these are all currents that are flowing through you. So we're sending to the multisensory higher consciousness currents waves of energy supporting you in the transcendence, moving up the spiral to the elevated state, these higher dimensions, okay? And so 15 minutes with me, and it's going to be inclusive of communication around cravings, what's going on with the origin points around those, but also the healing's going to be woven into that moment as well. That's the first 5 people that sign up from this call right now. So jump on that. Really get on that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
Important.
really exceptional. You're full of surprises, Christel. You are so full of surprises and an infinite flow of offering. You keep them coming, more surprises. And everyone, there's going to be another surprise. Stay with us until the end of our time together. There's going to be another special announcement at the end of our gathering today. Thank you for receiving the download. It seems that this package just was downloaded into you, and you've been trusted with offering it, and you're already doing this brilliantly and generously. It is very generously priced for this very comprehensive package, and there is a PayPal for payment option available in many countries. So thank you so much, Christel, for this clean up your cravings. Everyone take action now. The first 5 get 15 minutes with Christel is like so much gets done and so much shifts. Like you're going to be a different person 15 minutes later. So get ready for that. All right. Let's go back. Are you ready to take more readings, Christel?
Absolutely. I love doing the
Thank
readings.
you.
Let's
Yeah, we love them too. Let's go 2. We're going to go to Pompano Beach, Florida with Tamara. Hello, Tamara.
Hello. I am so overwhelmed. Everything. Thank you, and my love to both of you. Christel, what's my craving? And when I wrote it, I was thinking, my cravings go into so many areas, not just sweets. It could be any food. It goes into excess. Even as a child, I hoarded paper bags in a drawer in the bathroom. I would hoard. I'd be excessive. And what really gets to me now, especially with the 12-step program, is the willingness. I know it's going to happen, and I'll look over my shoulder and I'll see the change. But somewhere along the way, the willingness isn't there, but I'm seeing how.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
okay. Okay. One of the things we're looking at is this need to control. And this is what hoarding, whatever the things were, it didn't matter. It was about your need to control. Now, when we see that, I'm seeing that there's an unconscious grasp for control in destabilizing situations and echoing the ancestral line's burdens of guardianship, some kind of vigilance and responsibility. So it's a strange thing of like, your family had to be vigilant. Your family had to be responsible. Your family had to be on guard and pay attention. And again, in destabilizing situations, I don't know if that's wartime. I don't know what it was. There's a great fear wrapped around, almost like a snake, like an endless snake wrapped around you, and your arms are down by your side, and yet you've got this grasp for control. First is, how do I get out of the snake, literally holding me. My arms can barely, like my hands, my wrists can barely move. So there's a feeling of your ancestry having to be guardianship during a time when there was this need for hypervigilance. And so you've got this need for control, all right? The hook's lodged in the solar plexus chakra, the third chakra. And what I'm seeing is it goes also to the sacral chakra. It has to do with finances. It has to do with money and prosperity, and the feeling of having things around you accumulated makes you feel like not only that you're in control, but that you have things. So you don't have to seek out for things, right? But it's a tension between control and the emotional flow that you have. And so what we're seeing is I'm looking specifically for the savory cravings, like some kind of salty, and I'm seeing unconsciously grabbing, as if it was the key to unlocking the snake wrapped around you, a tight ancestral pattern. The snake equals an ancestral pattern, right? And so, again, the dynamic between having to be hypervigilant and be responsible and yet being totally out of control, okay? It's a false sense of who you are. And your ancestors had to pretend that they were in control, even though they were totally out of control because of the dynamic, right? Okay? So that's what we're looking at. Let me see when that was, mother's or father's side. It's on your father's side, and how many generations? We're looking at 33 generations ago, okay? So write this down, because when we're in the program, all right, we're going to work on that for you, okay? Write that down, 33 past lives ago. 33 generations on father's side.
Oh, I've written it down. Wow. It all fits in. And to really have hope to get rid of it and to have the willingness to do what I have to do.
Let's do it, Tamara. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've already mailed
Thank
a
you.
money order to you, Christel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Got it.
Blessings.
Okay,
Blessings.
blessings. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, let's go to the Q&A. I want to take, we have many requests in the Q&A. Let's go over there. Andrea in Schaumburg is asking, what's the root cause of my craving for true love?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It feels almost like more that there's a craving for truth rather than true love, right? When I look at you and I put you on the holodeck, Sophie, you have something to say?
Yeah, because first, Andrea wrote the question first that was, what's the root cause of my craving for truth love? Yeah. So I had to interrupt you for that, and then I clarified with her, and she wrote true love. But see, it came through. Now I get massive chills. It came through right away. I had to let you know about this.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because it is, it's a craving for truth. And in the experience, it could be in the experience of love. It could be in the experience of loving relationship. It could be in the experience of love for yourself, right? What I'm seeing is I'm actually seeing a persona that's like grabbing here and grabbing there and grabbing there and grabbing there and reaching in all these different places. Like you literally look like this persona is a body, and out of the torso is coming like 15 different arms and hands. Okay, and they're all reaching and grabbing. Ultimately, the hook that we're seeing, this corkscrew hook, is in the heart, but it goes up to the throat and to the mouth and the upper hard palate of the mouth. Okay, so one of the things is a realization of what relationship you have now doesn't bring you the absolute feeling of truth. It's a human connection, and it's a dynamic, and it comes with, right, the people who are in relationship have personas. They have their own sense of being fractured. So you're never going to get to wholeness by being in a relationship, right? That's the illusion. But also, in seeking truth, your partner's never bringing you real truth, right? They're bringing their perspective, and our perspectives are fractured through our projector of our personas, right, at any given time, unless we train to be locked in to only channel truth, are we in that. Even the people in my own life, as a multisensory intuitive, somebody who's highly psychic, as a medium, people that live around me pay attention to little things that come out of my mouth, because truth slips out all the time. But if you're talking to me, you can tell the difference between, hey, Christel's talking right now, or Christel's higher self, the soul self, is channeling, right? And so the idea is that we always live as the channel of truth. What you're craving is to become the channel of truth and to live that, and to only live as the channel of truth. That's my goal, my personal goal, and I hope that that's many of your goals, right? Each one of you. So that's what we're looking at. The pain is in the heart because you've not experienced that yet. When we look at that, we go through multiple past lives. It's not just one. We see that there's a feeling of disappointment, sadness, and grieving, because it's like when you die, there's a sense that your lower self says, I'm starting over in the next incarnation. You never lose anything. Every moment of meditation that you do, every moment that you chant, it adds up. It's going to go with you eternally. The illusion of death, that you're going to start over as another soul, in another incarnation, that's false. You're always carrying your mastery with you. And so for those of you that need to wake up to the degree of truth that you can channel, wake up now. I'm asking you to wake up now. I'm giving you permission to wake up now to the truth of yourself, and the recognition that any kind of craving is the craving to come to know the truth of yourself. So that's what we'll be doing with you, Andrea.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, and I love the the unfolding of this. Thank you. Blessings to you, Andrea. Okay, we have another interesting one here. We're going to go to Hyde Park, and we have Annette who asked, "What's the root cause for my craving for more self-help, one more package, one more healer? Like the answers to my life are elusive."
Oh, yeah, exactly. There's a feeling of insistent shame, grief, and a yearning for escape, right? And this is quite interesting because I see a past life dynamic. I see this mystic that you were using some kind of fermented drink to kind of veil the visions that were too overwhelming to carry. And so with that, it feels that, strangely enough, you're getting like this feeling of safety, a temporary refuge, where you're going into seeker mode by seeking out rather than embodiment of mastery. Okay? Sophie, is that making sense? She's going into seeker. I'm taking on the archetype of seeker rather than I'm taking on the archetype of master. Okay,
right.
so you've got these two aspects. It's a double bind, seeker versus master. Which one do I do? Seeker feels safer. Seeker feels like you don't have to feel or experience any shame around not being the master yet. Okay, and so it's a sacred escape hatch into oblivion, right? But that's not the truth. That's not the truth. So the corkscrew is lodged in the solar plexus and the sacral, and it's creating like a twisting knot between the powerlessness that is a sense of, in a strange way, when you're a seeker, you're powerless. You don't know the answers yet. When you start to know the answers, you become powerful, full of power, right? And so this knot between powerlessness and emotional overwhelm, that actually in your subconscious equals safety. If you stay in the powerlessness as a seeker, you're safer than if you step in to your powerfulness as a master. That's not true. Okay? I see it even going, it's kind of burrowing into your liver's etheric field, and it's perpetuating these cycles of escape. So for you, seeker can be escapism. The idea is to do the programs that are consistently lifting you to your own mastery. Consistently lifting you to your own mastery, not messing around, not the fluffy programs, the deep layered programs, right? Okay? So somebody who can support you in being your own mastery, not creating dependence. We're not here, all of us as teachers are not here to create dependence, but some teachers are still in there. They think they're, what is it called when you're not believing yourself to be a strong teacher? You're in that state where you're still becoming yourself. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the word now. Imposter. Some teachers actually have a secret imposter syndrome, right? So you have to align with teachers that don't have the imposter syndrome, have moved beyond that, right? They're not faking it till they make it. Okay? And do an integration on, right? Yeah, do an integration on the seeker and do an integration on the master, the fearful master. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Annette. Blessings. Yeah. Whew. Okay, we're going to Switzerland with Sabine. What's the root cause of my craving for success and the feeling of I need to or I am better or faster than? So comparison, right?
Oh, yeah. Strangely enough, I'm actually feeling the craving as a risk taker persona. Okay? So, and we see this kind of with a gambler, a risk taker, right? there's hope, there's fear, and there's thrill. And what I'm seeing energetically in you is this kind of warrior turned gladiator energy who gambled with fate every day, right? It's like every fight is a gamble. Every choice, right? It's like survival against annihilation and trying to balance that. And that's exhausting because what we see is that risk encoded intimacy with chance. And so that's what you're playing with. You're taking a risk and you're trying to be intimate in a certain way, but you're leaving it up to chance as well. So part of you is liking that risk. Part of you is liking the chance. But that's so old. That's like in your younger years, right? Like that's not the stage of development that you're at now. So in this life, it's really strange because it's emerging when the soul unconsciously seeks to reenact that kind of edge of death dance with destiny, and it's hoping to prove survival once again, right? So it's like, I made it, I'm succeeding, I did it, I pushed myself through, and it doesn't even have to be, like in the past life it was that death, putting yourself on the edge of death. But in this lifetime, it's pushing beyond the natural cycle that you're moving into, which is releasing quite a lot. You're meant to be releasing, not going after the thrill of succeeding. In the releasing, you will succeed. In the letting go, in this cycle, you will succeed, right? It's like I used to have 200 clients at a time. Now my preference is 8 clients at a time, right? Why could I used to be able to do 200 private sessions, no problem. Now it's like, oh, I'm happy if I've got 8 private sessions per week, right? It's a new cycle for me. As a master, I'm holding in a different way. Do I still work with 200 people? Yes, but I'm not doing private sessions with 200 people per week. So there's a shift that happens inside of you, and it's happening now. Let's look at how many past lives ago that was. Wow. So it's going back literally like 171 past lives ago. Okay? So this is really old and ancient. And again, it has to do with hope, which is a low-level vibration, and thrill. Okay? We're not thrill seekers. We're not trying to prove we can do something as a human. Let's step into our greater mastery in this new next cycle and open up those capacities and abilities. Yeah? And life becomes much easier.
Yeah, wow. Okay, Sabina, you know what to do. And what I was hearing is there's a way in which this huge capacity to succeed can be applied to, let's apply it to the releasing. Succeed in the releasing. You know how to succeed. Let's succeed in the releasing, right? Use your strength and your mastery to what is needed now. And if it is to release, let's succeed into releasing.
That's right.
Okay.
That leads to great freedom. And freedom is a masculine value. Freedom in the higher divine masculine is one of the highest values for the masculine, right? So freedom is really about what can I let go of. But what we start to see is in the releasing of the cravings, right? If we're releasing the cravings, then we're opening up to more efficiency, which is a divine feminine quality and value. So when we're craving some sort of releasing to get into freedom, like, oh, I'm craving getting out of my house and getting away from my family, right? Like, I just want to get out. I want to go. I want to travel. I want to do. We're chasing freedom, but the reality is we're actually chasing efficiency to expansion. Efficiency to expansion. How efficiently can we get to an expanded state of being? That's what we're craving when we're craving freedom.
All right. That's for many to hear as well. That's for many to hear. Thank you, Sabina, for bringing this to everyone to hear.
Okay.
Thank you. Blessings, Sabina. Wow, so much is coming through all these readings, but essentially we want to clean up our cravings, right? Clean up your cravings. Let me wrap up. Before we get to one more special announcement, there's been some surprises dropped already. There's one more surprise that's going to be dropped in just a moment. Let me wrap up Christel's special offer, Clean Up Your Cravings, the 6-day remote 7th dimension holographic healing sequence with multisensory activation. It's a 6-day remote healing activations with Metatron's Cube on the 7D holodeck. That's where your personas pop up and get transformed and integrated, along with one for each day, so 6 guided journey subconscious mind energy clearings using Metatron's Cube and holographic hypnotherapy. These are specific audios that you're going to use every day during this 6-day journey. And the private community for ongoing support and questions. Extra bonus that came by surprise earlier, the Cravings timeline shift. That's going to be an audio that you're going to receive, and another extra bonus for the first 5 of you who join. You get a 15-minute session with Christel, and you have all the details on gracefulconnections.com/cravings. If you're on the webcast, click the button, click the link. If you're on the replay, just scroll down the page and get your seat for this journey. Clean up your cravings. And now our special announcement, one more special announcement. Christel is also generously offering a fast action bonus for any purchases by Sunday, September 7th at midnight Pacific. So Christel, please tell us about your fast action bonus, the Ask Me Anything live interactive call.
Yay! Ask me
Yay.
anything. It is so juicy. It is so yummy. It is deliciousness offered up on a platter. It is so good because we get in a group. We do a small group live, and I get on with you and you chat with me, and you can either, you don't have to be there present, but you can leave in the cue box what your question is for your higher self. If there's a dynamic you're struggling with, physical issue, emotional issue, whatever greater calling that you're having, whatever it is that you want answers to, a relationship dynamic, who is this person to me? Any of that, you can ask the question and I will deliver that answer. The beauty of the group call is that you get to hear everybody else's answer. So their wisdom of their higher self coming through. And then also with that answer, if there's anything added that I can share, then I'll share that with you. And so we have just found these to be extraordinary. They're very valuable. So I would definitely say if you're, wavering right now, okay, I know I've got these cravings, but I've been living with them for like 25 years. Do I just go to my grave with these cravings, or do I actually start to clean them up? Clean them up, because you're really opening yourself and expanding. You're going to be able to get on this beautiful group call in circle, and we love, sometimes we'll just do spontaneous healings on those as well, which are really beautiful. So we'll all be in circle on the holodeck, and we'll call forth our higher selves, and we get beautiful, loving wisdom and grace and downloads that come in. So ask me anything and get your answers.
Yeah.
We all use answers for sure.
Absolutely. And okay, so we can ask about our cravings, but we can ask about anything else. It can be, but it doesn't have to
Anything.
be about the craving, anything. So pretty much what I would say is, if only for the bonus, join the program because this is so precious. Like this is such an amazing bonus. Thank you for offering this fast action bonus. So everyone, this is until Sunday, September 7th at midnight Pacific, right? That's the eclipse day. So it's going to eclipse at midnight on Sunday. So make sure to join Clean Up Your Cravings and you will be in on the call and you'll ask anything from Christel. And you will get the multi-dimensional reading. It's not just a little reading. It's yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So much has been revealed and experienced today. Let's just take a moment to return to the awareness of the orb of grace surrounding us, allowing it to remain there, holding us, holding all that we have experienced, discovered, received, of all that we're not even yet aware we have received, allowing it to settle in, to sink in, as we are held in the orb of grace for as long as it serves our highest good, our evolution, and the highest good of all. And I'm closing now by offering all my gratitude to each and every one of you, whether you're present live or on the replay. Thank you for joining us today, for answering yes to the calling of grace and the calling to elevate your cravings to divine alignment. Immense gratitude to you, Christel, for all the wisdom, the higher perspectives, the multidimensional perspectives, and the sacred offerings of insights and guidance, and the surprise bonus you've dropped as well, and all that you have gifted us today. Thank you, Christel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, gratitude to the orb of grace for providing a safe, sacred sanctuary for our exploration today. And gratitude for all the grace we are blessed with at every moment, whether we are aware of it or not. Grace offers all the nourishment, the nurturing, the healing, and the insights we open our hearts to receive. Gratitude to our higher selves and all the higher beings who guide, support, and protect us. And gratitude to the divine presence that flows through all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until we meet again, may many graceful blessings shower upon us all. Thank you, Christel. Thank you, everyone. And goodbye now.